Hey guys, so I know you don't want to be thinking about back to school because I'm in that same boat. I don't want to go back to school, but it's actually my last semester of my bachelor's degree, so I'm graduating in December, so I'm so excited. So back to school videos will be few and far between after this semester, which is actually a really good thing for me, unless you guys still want me to do back to school videos in the future. But I thought, my channel grows with me, so maybe that'll transition more into how to dress like an adult, which that's subjective, let's be real. Or like what to wear to an interview, things like that. I'm rambling though, let's move on to the video. For my first back to school video, I wanted to do some tips on how to survive it. I don't really do makeup tutorials for back to school because I don't wear makeup to school. It just is one less stress that I need to think about or worry about. So I thought there's a million other YouTube channels that do beauty videos on back to school, but I wanted to really help you guys out with like coping because I think that's just as important. So I'm gonna give you guys some tips, and this also kind of translates into how to be a good psych student because, these are generalizable tips that you can put to any subject, but there is one in here that's specific to psych majors. Also, this is primarily for college students. I've not been in high school for 8 years, so I really can't give you tips on high school or surviving high school because you just have to like push through it. But because you gain a lot more independence in college, I feel like it's a lot easier to lose yourself along the way or get wrapped up in stress and stuff because you're independent in your choices, what classes you take, if you even go to class, and what you do there and stuff like that. The first tip that I have is to quiz yourself while you're studying. There's been research on reading versus quizzes and who does better. Basically, the one group read something twice and then was tested on it, and then the other group read it once but then was quizzed on it and then later on was tested, if that makes sense. Basically, the ones that only read it once and then were quizzed on it did a lot better. So if you make yourself flashcards, honestly, my last semester was one of the best because a lot of the teachers used resources where there were quiz options available online. So that was a really awesome way to study, and I did so much better on my exams than I thought because, even simple studying, even if you get it wrong, you are bound to do better than those who did not quiz themselves and basically just read the chapter. The next tip is something I feel very, very strongly about, and I'm actually in the minority here, but take handwritten notes. I know everyone wants to bust out their laptop because typing is so much faster and so much easier, but I genuinely believe that you don't retain as much information unless you're handwriting your words. Even if I'm barely paying attention, if I'm just writing down things from the slide, I tend to remember them better later on. Another tip is to get your sleep. Sleep is so important and so underestimated, especially in college. Now, if you're in high school, I have strong opinions about the school system of today, specifically middle school and high school, because teens have been proven to need more sleep than adults, yet they get less sleep than adults because of the school system and like the time it starts and the work that they're assigned. So I have issues with that. I want to go into school counseling, so I'm very in tune with adolescents and I just really want to help them out. But for college, it's really easy to get wrapped up in a social life and, postpone studying or study and then stay out really late because you want a social life still because, that's understandable. But do not miss out on your sleep. At least get 6 to 8 hours, whatever you can do. And I definitely can't focus in my classes if I don't sleep well, and I'm not interested in taking notes whatsoever. And that's if I even go to class, because if I'm super tired, I want to stay home and sleep. Now, this isn't really a tip because I'm just telling you to get sleep, but the tip I have to get to sleep if you're having trouble, and this is just general in life, if you're having trouble going to sleep, what I have found works for me are two things. One, I think about a past dream that I had recently. I try and go through it all in my head, and for some reason, this knocks me out every single night. If I had a really vivid dream that week and I still remember it, I will go through the details, I'll think about it, and I don't know if it's because I was sleeping at the time that these memories occurred, but for some reason it always works. I always pass out. If that doesn't really work for you, download a podcast, any kind of podcast. I prefer no sleep podcasts. That's my favorite. I've been listening to them for years. It's a short horror fiction podcast, but it's scary, so you might have nightmares, which is what my goal is every night, is to have a nightmare, so that's why I listen to scary stories right before I go to bed. But I'm a weirdo, so Now for the psych students, my biggest tip that I have learned through all of my college courses, take as many multicultural classes as you can, especially if you are not in a minority group. I'm a white, cisgendered, heterosexual person, so obviously I have some privilege. And taking all the multicultural classes that I have Especially at the school I go to at Sac State. It's one of the most diverse schools. It has been so amazing and eye-opening, and just to hear everyone else's stories and just to go over and learn about all this stuff, basically all this stuff that other cultures go through that white people and other people just aren't aware of or are harder to understand. I think that's really, really going to benefit you no matter what field of psychology you go into. You really need to be aware of other struggles of other cultures, races, religions, things like that. I think that tip plays into everybody's lives. I think everyone would be a better person if they took more multicultural classes, but that's just me. Another tip I have is just really obvious, and that's packing snacks and packing up your bag the night before you have class. You're more likely to go to class, which I struggle going to class, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not the best role model with attendance, but I'm more likely to go if all I have to do is throw on some clothes and then I can sleep as long as I can, grab my bag, it already has food in it, and then I go. But I think snacks is my number one tip, especially for someone like me who suffers from low blood sugar. My stress levels go from here to here if I don't have food. And last semester was really stressful because I had 4 classes back to back. Like, I had no break whatsoever. But I had spent so much time running around campus, just going to get food as fast as possible. Like, what is the fastest food I can get here? If you're in that kind of situation, bring food with you. It'll honestly save your life. And most teachers, I think 99% teachers, don't care if you even eat in class. Those are my tips for how I survive school, especially college. I think these all can apply to high school and stuff, but I think generally it's more applicable to college students. Let me know your number one back to school tip down below. How do you survive school? Because we all need some help here. And how close are you to being done? Leave some video requests down below. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hey guys, so today is gonna be kind of a weird video. I'm a very skeptical person. Like, it takes a lot to convince me of something, and I don't know much about conspiracy theories, so I thought I would do a video kind of reacting to different conspiracy theories.